Namaskar and welcome to this latest episode of Sathology Debunking Mythology. So today we saw the Uttarayan part 2 and also Epoch part 2 1 you also saw, you liked that very much. Today we're going to come up with another interesting topic with Rupa, and I will keep on interjecting her a little bit, so don't mind it. And also we are going to learn a lot from her. She has done wonderful research. She is presenting that small presentation with us here today. And believe me, the best thing is to get a cue and do your own research also. If you have any questions, you can always ask back on the YouTube channel in the comment section. So without delay, let us welcome Sri Rupa Bhati.
Namaste Aditya ji.
Yes,
Namaste.
yes, welcome. So the in the last two episodes, you already mentioned that how the dates have been fudged
Sambat.
because of some miscalculation of the sun's, uh, you know, the the
Cardinal
Earth's
point.
axis, yes, and also the epi and the for the sun movement as well.
Ji,
And
ji.
there are other aspects which have really affected the dates of our events. So one of my questions will be for you will be: can we ever move away from BC and AD using BC and AD as a benchmark?
Um, it's very difficult, to keep the time, or even of the eons. It went horribly difficult even for Indians because they were measuring this time from maybe lakhs of years, lakh or 2 lakh years when the Homo sapiens were developing. And they were keenly observing things and meticulously measuring it. But even our Indic scriptures went horribly problematic to have 2 3 eons also. लेकिन फिर भी हम लोग उसका we see few of the calculations like with the help of Orion only, and we see that Indians were able to keep that information. Likewise, every time new kings came and new things happened, and this is how we arrived at BC and AD also. So, human always had been, from very initial times, timekeeping had been their first agenda. So it was a smaller span, which was more interesting, that is Samvatsar, so that they can do good agriculture and everything. But eventually, they found that this more information has to be kept for the future generation. So they kept on observing the sky uh, in a very meticulous way, and then they developed the idea of say from Brahmana to Siddhantic times, they developed many more novel ideas. So it's very difficult because Kalo Aham says na Sri Krishna. So one has to abide by the time, and that is why BC and AD that always. This is nothing, but we have named it. But this is for our own convenience. We have named it.
Yeah, because everyone had their own time. The Yudhishthira has his own time calendar, and then King Shaka has his own. Therefore, the name Shaka
Oh,
is there, and Vikram has its own calendar, and therefore the British have their own calendar, which is BC and AD.
exactly.
So
Yes,
it seems that still we are living in the Roman Empire or the British Empire.
exactly.
Okay, we can get started. So you can the slides are on, so you can
Yeah,
present it.
I can show it.
So, viewers, if you have any questions, you can always ask on the YouTube recording, which will be live in a week's time. But if you have any questions live, you can send it on the site.
So today we are going to talk about fascinating astronomical and eustatic observation by King Brihadratha. So there used to be a King Brihadratha in Ikshvaku dynasty, but somehow we don't find this name in Ramayana, although he was a very illustrated king from the Rigvedic times. And why I say eustatic? Because the whole world has memory of flooding. This is a very common myth, flood myth, which is available with every civilization. Here we are going to see a reverse thing, which is the eustatic observation, which would mean the levels of sea. So Brihadratha is observing the receding of ocean level, and that is the most interesting thing, very contrasting to the flood myth. So, how this is contained in Maitrayaniya Upanishad, this today we will discuss, and accordingly we will try to understand at which part of time this gets fit, and we will discover an epoch also for this. So, you can see King Brihadratha in Rigveda. There are two mentions of him in first mandala and 10th mandala. So in first mandala, it is very interesting to note that he has been prayed and uh, he has been asked to captivate the Turvashus and Yadus. Uh, so you can understand that the even inside the Vedic people, uh, Turvashu and Yadu are also an offshoot of Vedic people. But that can be seen that how this Brihadratha king is uh, fighting with these two Turvashu and Yadus. Turvashu, later on we can understand as Turkish, and these people, they are also our Vedic people only, Turkmenistan and Turkestan. And Yadus, we know that they again came back and they founded Dwarka and all these areas. Mahabharata is all about Yadava and Yadus. But once upon a time, it was in the Rigvedic time, there was a confrontation between the ideologies of the people. So they are nothing but the offshoot of Vedic lineage. In the 10th mandala, he has been equated again like a Indra, and who is again fighting with the Vrittasura. So, in this way, we remember Brihadratha in Rigveda. So, he is known as Brihadrakshe Ikshvaku Vansha Dhwaja Shishatmajaha. That means he is most ancient one, ancient king in Ikshvaku Vansha. Now, this king is mentioned in Maitrayani Upanishad also, and he has made some interesting observations that we are going to discuss today. So, Maitrayani Upanishad, in briefly, I would say it is a Samvediya Upanishad, which is a very Samanya Upanishad. There are questions and answers in that Upanishad. And my study here began because of R.N. Iyengarji. He wrote a small paper on Dhruva, that is pole star, and he wrote a small one-liner evidence from Maitrayani Upanishad, and he quoted it, the Dhruva, to be Thuban. But I will show you here that it is not the case, and we will go deeper into it. So the phrase was, why Dhruva drifts, why the air strings holding the celestial bodies dip. Kim Dhruvasya Prachalanam Vatarajunam Nimajjanam. So this is how the air strings are dipping away, and with that the pole star is also drifting away. So this is his observation, kind of a thing. But I'm going more deeper into that from the one-liner evidence. And here the first observation from the first Prapataka, we get the information of ancient kings like Sudyumna, Bhuridyumna, Indradyumna, Kuvalashva, Yuvanashva, Vadhiyashva, Ashwapati, Shashabindu, Harishchandra, Ambrisha, Nahusha, Ananta, and Savyati, Yayati, the son of Nahusha, Anaranya, Ukshasena, Marutta, and Bharat. These are all predecessors to Brihadratha. And here Brihadratha is saying that all these kings came and went away. So he's completely completely grappled by the remorse. And in this remorse, he gives the idea of many great kings who were predecessors to him. The second observation he makes that among other things, there is drying of the great oceans. So this is the important thing to understand when someone is in remorse. So he is not just pointing out to nimitta. So there has been very great controversy of nimitta and observations. So even if you see the nimittas, they are the observations only actually. Until you don't observe, how you will say all these things, even in the remorseful conditions. So this is not nimitta, but these are actual observations he's making. He's seeing the drying of the great oceans, not only the outer ocean, but also the inner Caspian Sea and all these oceans which are inside Red Seas. So seeing all the receding levels of the oceans. Then he's seeing falling of the mountains. This is very normal and natural phenomena uh, which can be observed. The moving of the pole star. Now this is also not a nimitta. He's observing it. The cutting of the wind ropes that holds the star. So how beautiful imagination the humans had during such deep antiquity that all the stars are being held by the wind ropes, which is invisible, but they are ropes only. uh, Vata, Rajjuna, what I told you before. So Vata is Vayu and Rajju means Rassi, rope. The submergence of earth. Now this is a contradicting phrase of receding of ocean where the earth is coming up and much of the shore is now visible. But the submergence of earth, this is another phenomena which links to dissidence of many islands or landforms which goes into the sea. So he's watching this also, and the departure of suras, that is gods, from the place. So what happens? The departure of suras. Then when you have a vernal equinox on some nakshatra, after 960 years, you arrive to other nakshatra, and that nakshatra goes to uh, the Pitriyayan. That is the uh, autumnal to vernal equinox. That those stars will be seen uh, after some time, after 1,000 years, 960 years, every time 13 degree 20 minutes will be shifting, will be processing. So what is happening? All the suras, the gods, are going in which domain? The domains of asura. So this is a constant conflict between deva and asura, which can be felt in uh, Rigveda, which can be felt in Brahmanas, and later on in the epics also we see how Ram is fighting with the Ravana. So this is the kind of concept which was going on the earth also, and which was reflected in the celestial sky as celestial beings also. So everything is whatever is happening on the earth is being reflected in the celestial stories, and we have to understand this why such phrases come and how to evaluate these phrases. So this is a very beautiful thing, the departure of suras, that is God, from their place. That means our Indians knew the precision of equinoxes. So this is such a simple thing to understand. Now Westerners always say that uh, Indians didn't know precision of equinoxes. This is a finest example of axial precision. That is, pole star is also shifting. Pole point is shifting from the earlier pole star. That this is axial precision, and with the axial precision, the equinoxes precision is also visualized from the trace the departure of the suras, that is, gods, from their place. So we may not have a clear name in Brahmanas or Upanishads, precession of equinox, but ayanamsha, something like that. But it was always present there. It was the observation they were making, the actual factual astronomical observation they were making, and they were making the statements. So this was that simple, but yet many of the Indologists say that must be Indians didn't know about the precession of equinoxes. So we go to the next thing, that how the great oceans receding levels, how new science now facilitate us to understand that situation. Because flood myth is to sab jagah hai, everywhere we find the flood myth. But where is the myth about receding of sea levels? So it is only in Indian text you will find, and that too in Maitrayani Upanishad. So this is the graph which shows the eustatic observation and sea level for thousands of years, for 1,40,000 years. This is the chart. And you will see the dips. The dip area is showing that the coastal areas were appearing. In today's time, you will see that the sea level is going more higher. And it once happened during 1,20,000 years ago. And all these dipped area, you will see that in these points, the coastal areas were appearing. And this is what Brihadratha was seeing. So it can belong to any of the epoch. So we need more evidence where we have to fit the Brihadratha's observation. Very significantly, it emerges during 22,000 BC. That was around last glacial maximum time, when it was too much cold and the polar caps were increasing and there was more ice on the globe. So at that time, it almost got down till 120 meters. So what we experience today is much higher than that level. So this also happened twice. 1,40,000 years ago also, we had this kind of a situation, which was happening in 22,000 years ago. So you can understand, because of this rise of sea level, so many landforms went down. Like the many of the islands which were connecting towards the Australia, the Siberian area, and many of the areas which were connected got disconnected because of the rise of sea level.
So just a
So,
small interjection
ah,
here, Rupaji.
ji,
1 lakh means 100,000. For people who do not understand, 1 lakh is 100,000.
100,000. Yeah.
So, 1,40,000 means 140,000. That's
Ji,
continue, please.
ji. Now, he was also observing the pole point shifting. So, Brihadratha's condition is something that he must have been experiencing some pole stars on the NCP, that is North Pole Celestial Circle. There are many pole stars coming in between, and they are the visual observation. Nobody can fix the pole stars there. Whatever comes in a way, it is visualized in by the Earth. Sometimes some pole point is coming near a pole star, like in today's time, Polaris is the pole star. Likewise, 12,000 BC, Vega was the pole star, which we got Ramayana evidence, Brahma Rashi Vishuddhashta, Shuddhashta. And accordingly, we got the Canopus also pole star during that time only, and from Mahendragiri it was visible. Likewise, Brihadratha is also observing some pole star is drifting away. So this is also his one of the most interesting observation, and we will try to fetch the information which pole star he was like referring to. The sixth Prapataka, we discussed the two observations from the first Prapataka of Maitrayani Upanishad. The sixth Prapataka gives the information of his time where Samvatsar appears in the beginning of Magha and ends at the half of Shavishta. This portion is ruled by Agni. मतलब बिगनिंग ऑफ मघा से लेके शविष्ठा के आधे तक, दैट इज वसंत संपात से शरद संपात, that is vernal equinox to autumnal equinox. Half of the Shavishta will be on the autumnal equinox, and this portion is ruled by Agni. And in continuation from Ashlesha to the end of Shavishta's half is sacred to Soma. So here Samvatsar is now emerging with a new idea of Agni and Soma. So this is something very interesting to understand what the phenomena actually is. It is nothing but, as I told, one Nadi Valay Yantra will only operate from vernal to autumnal when the sun is in the northern hemisphere, rising and setting in the northern hemisphere. And it reaches till Tropic of Capricorn, and again it tropics back as I explained to you in last session. Now, because of the Gharma Vriddhi, Gham, sweat, the Agni, the insolation of earth, is from vernal to autumnal only. And this is what Maitrayani Upanishad is also stating about the Samvatsar. Now, what is sacred to Soma? Ashlesha to the end of half of Shavishta is sacred to Soma. So, from autumnal to vernal equinox, a new thing is happening. What is happening? Uh, your moon will be rising from near north and have more time in the night, because from autumnal to vernal equinox the night length has increased. So when the night length has increased, the moon will be staying in the night for longer time. So that is what is happening during Sharad. Why we allude so much of Sharad moons, you know? So because Sharad moon is exactly happening when the sun is setting in the west, and in the east northeast side, moon is rising. So they both are together, and this beautiful phenomena can only occur during the Sharad moons, that is autumnal equinox, after autumnal equinox. So after autumnal equinox, the night length increases, the soma, the elixir, the time of the length of the night increases, and the time of the moon also increases. So that part of the year, the 6 month, belongs to Soma. The first part of the Samvatsar, 6 months from vernal to autumnal, belongs to Agni. So this is how beautifully Maitrayani Upanishad also contains this information. Uh, would you like to ask something?
No, I'm good with that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So now here we get an information that Samvatsar is beginning from Magha, that is nakshatra, not the month, and ends at half of Shavishta. So how this appears in the graph or the pictorial presentation, this is how it will appear. The spring equinox is exactly happening in Magha, and during the fall equinox, it is at the half of Shavishta. Shavishta is the ancient name of Dhanishta. And in this, the most interesting thing that we understood is this half portion, that is from fall equinox to spring equinox, belong to Soma, and from spring equinox to fall equinox belongs to Agni. And this whole makes a Samvatsar. But spring equinox happening in Magha, it was happening around 8640, 9000 BCE around, and also in the previous epoch. I am keeping these two epochs to understand the eustatic conditions. We have some more evidence which Brihadratha has already given us. He has observed beautifully few of the things like seismic activities also, and subsidence of landforms also, receding of ocean levels also. So receding of ocean level becomes our benchmark to understand in which portion we can fit this information. So we understood the concept of Agni and Soma. Now there is another internal evidence. Agni and Som से तुमको समझ में आया कि संवत्सर is happening from Vasanta only. but we still need some more evidence कि वसंत हो रहा था कि नहीं. So here comes the internal evidence from the Maitrayani Upanishad itself, and I always emphasize on the internal evidence only. First, internal evidence should be exhausted. After that, only we have to look outside, no? Because to look for a mango, you have to go to mango tree only. संतरे के पेड़ में तो हमको मैंगो नहीं मिलेगा. So first we have to concentrate on finding of the evidence from the same text. Until we are completely failing on it, we should then only go ahead with the other evidence from outside. If we have with that Upanishad or with that particular text some kind of information given in other text also. So here it says Pancheshtako va eshu agnihi samvatsaraha तस्येम इष्टकायो वसंतो ग्रीष्मो वर्षा शरद हेमंत स शिरः पक्षसि पृच्छ पृष्ठवान एषो अग्नि पुरुष विदः सेयं प्रजापते प्रथमा चितिः. That means samvatsar is made of 5 bricks. The first brick is the vasant. That is the first foundational layer is the vasant. This simple it is speaking about. So here the year has been explained as 5 bricks, and these bricks are attested to season. There's first season spring, then summer, the rains, autumn, and winters. Rigveda also mentions only 5 seasons. So one has to understand 5 seasons and 6 seasons. There is a difference in both the things. Hemant and Shishir were not bifurcated by the time of Pleistocene time, because when you see that environment, Pleistocene times, you can understand the temperature of the whole earth was 3 to 4 degrees higher towards the cold. It was lower, in fact, it was lower from today's time. So Brihadratha's time also is seeing the 5 Ishtaka, that is the 5 seasons, which is very much similar to Rigveda, and it corroborates also because Brihadratha is present in Rigveda in first mandala and 10th mandala also. So first mandala and 10th mandala are the new mandala given by Shrikant Talageri, and somehow some of the evidence are very much similar to what he has found. Only I am unable to comprehend his timeline given like 3000, 2000 BC for Rigveda, which I am not able to digest. But the thing is, when you come with the idea that Rigveda was experiencing only 5 seasons, it means that it was not able to differentiate between Hemant and Shishir. Until we had Holocene times and rains became, and you see all the patterns also in Rigveda. It is eulogization of rains. It is always praying for rains. So one has to understand this Rigvedic situation also very deeply, and that is reflected in Brahmanas and some of the ancient Upanishads. The Maitrayani system is one of the most ancient one among the Upanishads one has recorded. So this is the most important point to be noted from 6th Prapataka, and we understood that Vasant was the Shira in or the base of the year, even in Maitrayani Upanishad. So next we come to Dhatu Vas. So finally we corroborate this that Samvatsar and Vasant, they are related. How they are related? Because they both come from Vas Dhatu. Vas is to sit to or nivase. Sam Vasanti Ritvo Atra Samvatsaraha Vas au Nivase. And here also Vasant comes from Vas Dhatu. It is given in the Odahati Sutra of Panini. So now where to place this Samvatsar in Magha month? Sorry, this is not Magha month, I'm sorry. Magha Nakshatra. So many Magha epochs must have happened. So now we come to the conclusion that we will have to see some more evidence where to place this information. So astronomy and eustatic observation, when combines, we get a kind of result how to look into the observations. So Epoch of Magha is happening in 8500 BC also, and in 34,500 BC also. But the receding of ocean, and that too drastically, can only be seen during 35,000 BC. So this is how our observations went into the texts or smritis and shrutis. And with the oral tradition, we are keeping such deep antiquity informations also, such deep antiquity informations. So the epoch of Magha will go to 35,000 BC rather than during 8,000 BC, where the sea levels were rising and many lands and shores were going down the sea. So this is how I arrived into this conclusion that sea level receding lower in Indic scripture is not just nimitta kind of a thing, but it was a real observation. Now, the condition of Brihadratha, now, where he is locating the pole star, which pole star he is referring to, which is going away from that string. So his condition is between the Hercules iota, and there was no pole star from 12,000 BCE to 8,000 BC in between. So what he's seeing is he's watching the Vega pole star going much away from his time. So condition of Brihadratha I have pointed here as an orange color, and this is the situation in the sky. You can see towards the North Pole. This is the North Pole during the Brihadratha's time, and he is observing that this pole star has drifted quite away from the pole point. So during 9000 BCE, he is watching, and during 10,000 BC, there is no pole star. And from 9000 to 12,000 BC, there are no pole stars. Now, there is a Hercules Iota pole star which will be coming later to his time. It will appear during 8000 BC. So he is watching that a new star is coming near, must be observing that, but he is continuously watching that this star is drifting away. And this is not happening in his lifetime, but for last 3000 years, his predecessors must be noting them down. And by his time now, he is not able to take Vega as a pole star. So this was happening during 38, 39,000 BC in the previous cycle. And during Brihadratha's time, 34,500 BC, he is unable to watch this situation. So how does it occur? How do we perceive? So I will just show you an example so that during the night time, if you focus towards the north, with the help of compass only, you can do it now since we have compass in today's time. You can locate north and then you will see from your latitude a little above, and you will be able to see a pole point. A pole point which is a Polaris. This is the condition. This is the Polaris. And in front of that, you will be able to see the Saptarishi, the question mark kind of a thing appearing in the sky during the Vasanta season, and from the winter solstice to Vasant season, it is quite easily visible in the sky. So it appears in this form. So the stars trailing the whole night. This has been taken from Wikipedia, Polestar Wikipedia. You can go there and you can see the whole night when the stars revolve around. So it goes like anti-clockwise. It revolves around like this. And during Brihadratha's time, he is watching the pole point like this. And Vega has fallen away from the pole point. This is pole point and this is away from the pole point. So from your house, you can see, from your place, you can see the pole point. And now Brihadratha is watching this pole star has been drifted quite away. And these are the Vayu Rajjuna, Vayu Rajju, that is Vata Rajju, which is nothing but the strings of air which are holding these stars to move in anti-clockwise fashion. This was the condition during 8000 BC, that is just after Brihadratha's Magha epoch. And he is watching, and after him also, someone must be watching that this has gone quite away, and now Saptarishi is coming nearer. And there are no pole stars till uh, Thuban area. So the next pole star will be appearing during 3000 BC. So from 8000, in fact, from 12,000 BC to 3000 BC, there are no significant pole stars. So it was very difficult to observe a vacant pole. There would be always a vacant pole point, and only some few stars will be trailing around this pole point. And there was no single particular pole star which was much nearer to the pole point. So that is why they say Brahma Rashi Vishuddhasya Shuddhasya Paramashaya. All are revolving around the pole point. That Dhruva is pole point, not the pole star in that phrase of Valmiki. So even Valmiki is seeing the Vega little away from the pole point, and Brahma Rashi as well as the Saptarishi all are revolving around the pole point. It is the situation in Ramayana. So this is how we see this condition, and we deduce that uh, this would be happening only during 34,500 BC, and that time also he is watching that Vega has gone quite away from the pole point, which was happening during 38,000 BC. So this is the conclusion. Like Brihadratha is a very ancient king, as I showed you. He is the Shirsha Dhwaja, and his observation, that is moving of a pole star, which is a natural precession, longitudinal change of position of star, which is Vata Rajunam, from that word it become. And thirdly, very important information is about drying of ocean, and all leads to the epoch of Magha, that is 34,500 BC. So it could not be fitted into this or even the earlier epochs. It is very difficult to fit anywhere else, because that was the situation where uh, there was a drastic sea level drop, and during within 500 or 1000 years it was like going too much down. So that was quite interesting observation which Brihadratha made, and in his time, his forefathers were also making that. So until he came into that great remorse, and he was quite remorseful, he gave us plenty of information, and there are more and more, in fact, inside about the Samvatsar also, Agni Soma condition also. Whichever phrase you take up from Maitrayani Upanishad, it is all gem. One should read that text very deeply, and maybe they can come up with more evidence, more beautiful, um, life-changing samvad are also there. So one can learn so many things from Maitrayani Upanishad. So to clear the hoax of Samvatsar year beginning in winter solstice, which has been followed blindly, against this we here have evidence of construct of year with first Ritu Vasanta. Thus Magha Nakshatra is to be seen during Vasanta Sampat, that is vernal equinox, and seasons are experiential, and seasons mentioned in Maitrayani Upanishad are only five, similar to Rigveda. Apparently, LGP times, till the advent of LGM, wouldn't have appreciated difference between Hemant and Shishir. This also has to be noted by the researchers. We just take every aspect of our text very literally and in a very literal sense. This should be avoided. Each and every word has its own humongous meaning, and one has to understand with that depth to understand these beautiful phrases from the Maitreya Upanishad or any other text like Brahmanas and Rigveda. And this evidence also corroborates Magga of previous cycle. So that is the transition time we are looking at. And we today discussed about this area in this huge timeline of so many discoveries. There are so many things to be talked about. Maybe someday in a book form it will come.
Yeah, no, this is very interesting because most of the times people have no idea that how Indian astronomy was so accurately recorded,
Ji.
and also the people who were writing Indian literature, mostly the Vedas, they were so scientific in their recording of the events.
Exactly. Ji.
Most of the other literatures that we find, they don't even come close. And there was a very famous author. He said, not call him author, call him propagandist. He said that anything English is better than even a single line of the Veda. And
A single word of Veda will be मतलब भारी पड़ जाएगा in their context, you know.
no, now for after seeing this, we can feel it, and it was very. The people follow him to the hilt. Max Muller, he's the one who quoted him. And so, but now we see here that so much evidence of scientific calendaring and also the epochs based on accurate scientific observation, astronomical observations. A lot of mathematics is involved here.
Yeah, a lot of mathematics and now new sciences are there, so we can look at them and try to corroborate them accordingly.
Yeah.
So there is nothing like if you say like I'm researching on Vyagra
Mhm.
in Rig Veda. So supposingly in the whole Rig Veda there is no word Vyagra, there is no tiger. So in today's anthropological science can corroborate it because Vyagra entered India from Sri Lanka side or the northeast side from the Himalayan regions during 20 to 22,000 BC. So supposingly Rigveda is not having that word completely absent. The new word has not yet been formed. The creature has not been seen because tiger is something which cannot be avoided when you are equating lion, simhasana, everything, everything with lions, then why not tiger? So if the tiger is absent, there has to be something very fishy going on during Rigvedic times. So these are kind of things our Indic researchers also should look into, and especially Sanskritists, because majorly I'm saying that those who know Sanskrit very well are also unable to see these facts. So they need to be like, they need to read the parallel sciences which are going on for archaeology and anthropology, Paleolithic, and all these sciences, geological, oceanography. All these will corroborate to, and they will fall into place. The scriptures will automatically fall into place from where they belong, from which timeline they belong. Ji.
Yeah, I think the a lot of research has been done on Rig Veda, and which is important, but we don't find too many quotes from Atharva, Yajur, and also Samveda. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that of all the Vedas, Samveda is his favorite.
Yeah. And in Maitreya Upanishad, this is Samvedya.
Ah,
This is Samvedya Samanya Upanishad. So Maitreya Upanishad itself is belonging from 38,000 BC, at least 34,500 BC. So one can imagine the kind of deep antiquity of our texts. Uh, it is not just vaguely we are saying. I'm putting all the evidence. People can come and critique me. I have given all the evidence. So they can come up and say, "Nahi bhai, Magha is not, it is winter solstice only." Show it. Show it from the internal evidence. From the outer evidence, you can say anything, but you need to corroborate the internal evidence. How will you deny that? First Ishtaka, Vasanta. You cannot deny the Magha then.
Yeah.
Then how to deny the receding levels of oceans? So that cannot be denied on the name of Nimitta. There is a quite fuss about Arundhati, Vashishta, Nimittas also. We will discuss it at some other point. But these are observations. Supposingly you are watching something in the sky, you are not able to control the sky. Since you have watched something, now you have to make a story out of it so that that remains there in the text or in the memory. So how to keep them in the memory? You have to have some stories related to that. जैसे हमें बचपन का कुछ घटना कैसे याद रहती है? The whole day, everyday living is not being remembered by us. हमने कैसे जिया? But some incident, particular incident of accident or something happened during that time, and that becomes a story which is repeated all the lifetime. You repeat it. यार उस दिन गिरे थे, that day was my birthday and I had आंखों में conjunctivitis था. So I remember that in which year I was having the conjunctivitis. So certain stories when get attached even in life, we remember that. So ancient humans of Rigveda or Brahmanas, they knew that something is happening in the sky and the dialogue begins, and the dialogue is then recorded.
Mm.
And Brihadratha is so interesting that he is not mentioned in Ramayana. Rama doesn't remember him. Rama is not remembering Brihadratha in the genealogy. But other genealogies also, Brihadratha is absent. It is only found in Rigveda and Maitreya Upanishad. So many kings came in between and did so many marvelous things, but it was not something very unique, which should be remembered. And that is why those kings are also not remembered by the later generations.
No, Brihadratha is mentioned in by Valmiki, and also
हाँ,
it is also mentioned in Mahabharata also.
अच्छा
Yeah,
महाभारत का मुझे
because I
याद
have
नहीं.
references for that is mentioned in
अच्छा,
both the books. So because he's part of the creation and the different kings are there. So he's part of that. He's always mentioned there. Also in Bhagavad Puran also. All three places.
Bhagavad Puran must be there.
All
But
three places.
Ramayana, I have to look again if my memory is not standing with me.
So viewers, you watched this exciting episode. I think you have made some conclusions on that. I could see some comments over there. And I think that's the whole point. The point is that the Indian history has been very well recorded, and it's very scientific in many ways. A lot of mathematics has been used. People's interpretations may be different, but here Rupaji has done an excellent job in putting that in one place with all the references. So
Thank you.
thank you, Rupaji, for coming to this show,
Thank you
and
so
thank you all
much
the
for
viewers who
bringing me.
joined. There are a lot of viewers today, lots of viewers today.
Thank you
So
so much.
so do
Thank
watch
you
it on
to
YouTube.
all.
Do watch it on YouTube, and all the eminent personalities who have attended this show. You're very welcome to join me live in one of these days, and also for viewers who are becoming members of youth Sathology clubs, you can also join us live depending on the levels you choose. So with that, namaskar and thank you.